In this video, we will start with the framework components. These are the building blocks to create an end-to-end intelligent document processing process. So before that, we'll start with the use case. So we go through each component and then we learn about that component with practical example. So firstly, the use case that we're going to develop. So this process involves two types of documents, which is first one is form 1040X. This is the tax filing form. And then second one is vehicle damage report. So the use case is to extract the mentioned fields. For example, in form 1040X, we need to extract these number of fields. Firstly, return 2019, which is a Boolean type. And then these are the Boolean types, and then name fields, which are of type text. Then there is a date field, which is of type date, and then a table. So that will be these fields has to be extracted from first type. And then the second type is vehicle damage report. So from these, we need to extract these fields. So now we'll do this use case. Parallelly, we'll get to know about the components. And then for each component, we'll do this use case. This is the component overview, like the entire process of document understanding. Then the above are the tools that are used in each stage of the document understanding component. So we will see in further videos, we'll see in detail of each component. For example, now we have documents, two types of documents. How do we create a taxonomy for those documents? How do we digitize them? What are the steps involved in digitize? What are the OCR engines available? And then classify. How do we classify? What are the steps involved in classify? Same like extract. And then at the end, how do we post process the output that has been extracted? And then different tools at each stage. For example, uh, how do we do that in Studio? And then where do we use AI Center? And then where do we use Action Center? So all these details we'll be seeing in further videos. Firstly, to start with the components, we have taxonomy. Let's see the input documents. So we have form, which looks like this, and then here, as we mentioned in the field section, so we need to extract this information. This will be Boolean, and then the names, first name and last name. Then we have a table as well here. So we have to extract this, and then date field. So this will be our first type of document. And then second type of document is a damage report. It looks like this. And here we have registration number, address, city. Then mostly these are like text fields. So these two are the input documents, and then we have to extract the mentioned fields. Explain these framework components with an example. Let's take this example that we are currently using. So we have a vehicle damage report. So from here we need to extract the mentioned fields that we saw before. So firstly in taxonomy we define the fields. For example, we define this is the type of vehicle damage report, and then under that we'll mention this as form 1, maybe that will be type 1, and then inside that we mention the fields. For example, title of the company, which will be a text, registration number, that will be number. Like that we mention all the fields in taxonomy. And then in digitize step we use a OCR engine and then convert this entire report. We convert this entire report into a electronic format. And then in classify, if there are more document types, we need to classify that, right? So we classify this as a damage report, and then this as a form 16 or something. So in classify we separate that, and based on the separation we do the extraction. So one separation will be damage report, and under that we use data extraction for only these type. Similarly for all different types. So that we classify and then extract. As we know, we extract only the relevant information. So in digitize we convert everything into electronic format, and in extract we take only the required information. And then finally we'll have the output excels, and then we do some post processing, and then we use it in any other input applications, for example in SAP. So to start with, first step in the document processing is taxonomy. So what is taxonomy? So it is nothing but collection of different data types. So here we define what do we want to extract from the documents. So here we categorize the documents, and then we'll define the information, like what information, what field information we need to extract from each document. So that will be the hierarchical structure. We'll see that in demo section, like how do we mention the document group, then what are the document types. We have to mention it clearly in hierarchical structure, and then we have to define for each document type, we have to define the number of fields that we have to extract. So to do that, we need taxonomy manager. So that will be available in UiPath Studio. So this taxonomy manager is used to create and edit the taxonomy file. So which is nothing but a JSON file. So which will be created when you create whenever you have a new document type, you edit this, and then that will be stored in a JSON file. Now let's create the taxonomy in action. So for that, we need taxonomy manager. This will be available only if you have intelligent.ocr activities that we showed in environment setup, how to download the required packages. So let's click on that. So in our use case, we have two types of documents. So one is of type a tax form, tax return form. And the another is of type insurance. So this report is used to claim the insurance. So we have to create two types. So first group will be tax. So since the types related to tax will be in this group, so let's click type tax and then click on save. And within that we have forms, right? So under that we create forms. So under forms, first type we have is 1040x. Let's create that type form 1040. Click on save. So for this type, we need to add the required fields that we need to extract. So in our presentation, we said in our use case for first document, we need to extract these fields, right? So let's add one by one. Firstly, return 2019. So these are the possible types to, for the field: text, number, date, name, and then table. These I think you generally, these are general types. So for return, it is a checkbox. If you see here, it is a checkbox. It should be like true or false. So for that reason, we keep it as boolean. Same goes for return 2018. This is also a boolean type. Click on save. Let's add one more and then we'll continue to the next one. And 2017, then boolean and then click on save. So now we added three booleans. Now let's add name fields. First name. This is of type text. Then last name. This is also a text. Then we have we these are texts, so we named it as text fields. So for trial purpose, I'm not extracting much information. I'm just giving one example for each type. So now we had a boolean and then we had text. Now let's see for table. Social security number, I think this is also important. Let's have that also. This has to be number type. Then date field, this will be type of date. And then finally, we need independence table. So that will be of table. So if you create a table type, you need to create the column structure also here itself. At least one column has to be created. So inside this we have, let's create, let's not complicate this. We'll create two columns. First name, or else we'll take let's consider this as a single column, and then social security number as a single column. Let's create those two columns within this. Let's keep it as general one, name, and then type should be text. Then social security number. Let's keep this also text. Let's see what is social security number here. So this number, maybe let's keep this also as a text in previous one. Sometimes there might be ABCDs in between, so you can always change. So we have two columns here and the dependence table. So this will be our taxonomy for from 1040X. And now we have second type, which is insurance type. Here we need here also we have some fields, so let's add them also. Let's create a separate group again. This will be insurance. Then under insurance, these are receipts. Receipts. Okay. And then under this, we have damage reports. Click on save. And here we said we need these many fields. Let's create these fields here. First field is registration number using shortcuts. Should be text type. Then second one is inspector number, inspector name, text. One is vehicle license number. Text. Driving license. Cost of damage. Is of number. These types you can decide if it is definitely, are you sure, if you're definitely sure that this will be a number without any alphabets, you can directly keep it off for number type. If you have doubts of having alphabets in between, then it's always better to keep it as text. So now we created the taxonomy. So firstly, before starting, we created a group. So we had two types. One is of insurance and then another is of tax. So under tax group, we have forms. So we created a first type, and then this is category. The first one is group, second one is category, and then within that will have document types. Same goes here. It is of group insurance, and then receipts, and the receipts we have damage report, vehicle damage report. So after you create all the required fields, just close this. If you open File Explorer, an automatic folder will be created in your project folder, like document processing, and then here you can see the JSON file. If you click on edit, you open it in Notepad, you can see the fields that you've created in the taxonomy manager. So this is how you create a taxonomy. And now let's create one more folder here, and then let's keep our input folder here. In general, this inputs folder can be anywhere, but just for time being, I'm creating it in the main folder itself, so that like it will be easier to pick the files. Copying copying a damage report and then a form to inputs folder. So now we have created the taxonomy and then we placed our inputs in input folder. So you can see here, these are taxonomy, and these inside this folder we have our inputs. So now how do we load the taxonomy? So after you create the structure, after you create the field structure, the fields that you want to extract using the taxonomy manager, you have to load that taxonomy to your process. So for that we have activity called load taxonomy. Go to activities and then search for load taxonomy. So this will by default it will check the document processing folder in the projects folder, and then it will get that taxonomy. And we have to create a variable here that extracted taxonomy will be stored in this variable to use it in next steps, next for next components. So let's create a variable here. And taxonomy, and then click on enter. Now if you go to variables, you see the type, variable type, document taxonomy. In case if now that I've manually loaded this taxonomy here, if you already have the taxonomy and if you want to load, you just have to read that taxonomy with just have to read using the read text activity, and then you'll have a serialize and deserialize options for taxonomy. So using that serialize and deserialize options, you can convert that into a taxonomy variable, and then you can use that. So it's not necessary that you always create a taxonomy from here. If you have an existing taxonomy, you can use it by reading text, and then you can load that as a taxonomy. So now we are done with the first step. Now let's see how do we load the taxonomy without uh, creating that from taxonomy manager. Assume that we have the taxonomy as a JSON file. So now let's read it. Now let's see how do we load a taxonomy from a text file without creating the field structure in taxonomy manager. If you have a taxonomy externally as a text file, how do we load that, and then how do we serialize to a taxonomy? So I have a taxonomy already created here. So let's open this and then let's create a text out of it. We'll copy this entire string. Then here I'll create a text file. Here I'm pasting this as a, I'm pasting the entire taxonomy here. And how do we load these to the process? So for taxonomy, we have a deserialize function which will convert that entire string into a taxonomy. So for that, first we have to read the text file using read text file activity. And then the path of this. Create a variable with taxonomy path, and then let's assign that to here. This will contain the taxonomy path, and then the output will be taxo data. This will have the taxonomy data, and then now we can just use an assign activity. And then here you can assign that to a document taxonomy variable. Let's do it this way. We'll have, let's create taxonomy variable. We already have a taxonomy variable. Let's just use this. So this will contain our taxonomy. Now we have to deserialize that using document taxonomy function. So we'll have this class, and then from there you can use deserialize, and then within that you just have to pass that string taxo data, and then this will be converted and stored in output taxonomy, and then you can use this in the for the next activities. So this is the way. If your taxonomy file is placed somewhere else and then you want to read and then convert that, and here in load taxonomy, if your taxonomy is in project's root folder, document processing folder, then you can directly use load taxonomy. So these are the two ways of handling taxonomy. That's all for today. If you have any feedbacks, ping in the comment section, and then see you in next video. Thank you and happy automation.